Ladies and gentlemen, there's a moment, a sacred window, between who you've been and who you're becoming. It's not found in the noise of your day or the clutter of your mind. It's found in silence. It's found in stillness. It's found within. And I want to share something simple with you today. 5 minutes. That's all. 5 minutes to begin to break the illusion of limitation and step into the field where all possibilities exist. Because here's the truth. The life you see outside of you is nothing more than a mirror of your inner state. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, they are architects of the invisible, laying down blueprints for the reality that shows up tomorrow. So what is this a thing you need to do? Become aware, not casually, not passively, but fully. For 5 minutes a day, I want you to sit, close your eyes, breathe, and shift your attention away from everything outside of you. Your body, your problems, your schedule, even time itself. Withdraw your energy from the external world and turn your awareness inward. Why? Because when you're no longer identifying as the body, the personality, the past, you enter the unknown. And in the unknown, your future lives. The science is clear. When you think a new thought, feel a new elevated emotion. Gratitude, love, joy, you're no longer firing the same neural circuits. You're no longer broadcasting the same electromagnetic signature. You're no longer creating the same predictable future. 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes of intention. Not just wishing or hoping, but emotionally rehearsing who you want to become. If you can feel it before you have it, your body begins to believe it's already happening. And if your body believes, your reality starts catching up. You might ask, can 5 minutes really change my life? Yes, because it's not the time, it's the energy behind it. It's the coherence between your heart and your brain. It's the alignment of your will and your future. And when you do this consistently, something extraordinary happens. You stop waking up and reacting to the world, and you start creating it. Your relationships shift. Synchronicities show up. Opportunities emerge where none existed before. Why? Because you're no longer living by the memory of the past. You're living by the vision of the future. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, before the world claims your attention, sit, breathe, feel, and choose. Choose to become the architect of your destiny rather than a prisoner of your history. 5 minutes. Every day. And reality will never be the same. Thank you. Awareness is the cornerstone of transformation. It's the ability to observe yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions, without becoming them. Most people live their lives in a kind of hypnosis, repeating the same patterns, behaviors, and emotional responses without realizing they're doing it. Their body wakes up and runs the day, not their consciousness. They operate from the same predictable past, expecting a different future. But true change begins the moment you become aware. Because you can't change something you're not conscious of. When you sit in stillness and begin to observe your internal world, you are no longer unconscious. You become the witness. And in that moment, you're no longer identified with the body, the emotions, the environment, or even time. You start to pull your attention out of the known, out of the constant distractions, the roles you play, and the stories you tell yourself. That attention is energy. So the more aware you become, the more energy you reclaim from the external world, and the more you have to create something new. Most people are aware of their outer world, their phone, their job, their stress, but not of their inner state. They might feel anxiety, frustration, or lack, but they never stop to ask, what am I thinking right now? Where am I placing my focus? What emotion am I living in? That lack of awareness keeps them in survival mode, reacting instead of creating. But the moment you become aware, truly aware, you interrupt the program. You catch yourself in the act of being your old self, and that's powerful. Because the space between stimulus and response is the space where you can choose a new outcome. You can observe the thought and decide not to believe it. You can feel the emotion and decide not to feed it. You're no longer on autopilot. You are present. And in presence, change is not only possible, it's inevitable that intention is the driving force behind all conscious creation. It is not merely a wish or a fleeting thought. It is a directed focus of energy, a clear inner command to the field of possibility. Most people move through their day without intention, reacting to their environment, repeating past patterns, and expecting change to happen from the outside. But intention is what allows you to shift from being a passive observer of life to an active creator of it. It's the internal compass that tells your mind and body where to go before anything physical changes. When you wake up each morning and set an intention, you are planting a seed in the fertile ground of the quantum field. That seed, when watered with attention and emotion, begins to grow. You are telling the universe, and more importantly, your nervous system, that you are choosing who you want to be and how you want to live. It's not about controlling outcomes. It's about aligning with a new frequency. Your intention becomes the blueprint that your body and your life begin to follow. Without intention, the mind becomes chaotic. It drifts into old stories, familiar worries, and unconscious habits. Intention is the act of organizing the chaos into coherence. It is the moment you choose clarity over confusion, focus over distraction, vision over memory. It doesn't need to be complicated. A simple, clear statement like today, I will live with love, or I choose to be calm and creative, sets a powerful tone. That clarity sends a signal to your brain, and your body begins to follow suit. When intention is backed by elevated emotion, gratitude, love, joy, it becomes even more magnetic. You're no longer just thinking about the future you want. You are emotionally rehearsing it, embodying it, broadcasting it. Intention with emotion alters your energy field. It changes the way you think, feel, and eventually, the way you act. It creates a pathway in the brain and a signal in the body and the more you practice this, the more you begin to live by design. Not by default. Coherence is the alignment of your heart and brain, the synchrony between your thoughts and your feelings. When these two powerful centers of intelligence are in harmony, the body enters a highly organized and balanced state. This is where true transformation begins. Most people live their lives in incoherence, thinking one thing, feeling another, and doing something completely different. Their energy is scattered, their body is in survival, and their mind is fragmented. In this state, it's nearly impossible to create meaningful change because there is no unified signal being broadcasted into the field. Achieving coherence means bringing order to chaos. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is perfect. It's about generating elevated emotional states that match the thoughts of the future you desire. When your thoughts are clear and your emotions are elevated, you send out a coherent electromagnetic signal. That signal is measurable, and more importantly, it's influential. It not only changes the chemistry inside your body, but it begins to interact with the energy all around you. This is how you start attracting outcomes that match the frequency you're emitting. The heart plays a crucial role in coherence. The heart is more than a pump. It's an intelligent organ that sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. When you feel emotions like gratitude, appreciation, or compassion, your heart rhythm becomes smooth and ordered. That rhythm communicates with the brain, bringing it into sync. The result is a calm, clear, and highly focused internal environment where healing, learning, and creation become much more accessible. Creating coherence is a practice. It takes intention and repetition. Simple breathwork techniques, visualizing elevated emotions, or focusing on the space of the heart for just a few minutes can bring you into this aligned state. Over time, this state becomes familiar. Your body begins to remember what it feels like to be in harmony. And in that harmony, you become more than just the body, more than the mind. You become a unified field of potential. Transformation is not a moment. It's a process. It's the unfolding of a new self that emerges as you begin to let go of the old. Most people talk about change, wish for change, even plan for change, but few actually undergo transformation because it requires something deeper. It requires becoming unfamiliar to yourself. True transformation asks you to step away from your known identity, to interrupt the automatic thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that have defined you for years, and to enter into a space where a new version of you can begin to take shape. This process starts by becoming conscious of who you've been. The stories you've told yourself, the emotional addictions you've fed, the roles you've played. It means seeing the self not as fixed, but as a pattern, one that has been repeated so often that it feels like truth. Transformation is recognizing that your current personality, with its predictable habits and reactions, is responsible for the reality you're living. And if you want a new reality, a new future, you have to become someone else. But this is not about pretending or faking. It's about evolution. When you begin to think new thoughts, feel new emotions, and take new actions aligned with the future you desire, you begin rewiring your brain and reconditioning your body to a new state of being. Neuroplasticity supports this. Your brain literally changes. Your cells begin to respond differently. Your energy shifts. And in this new energetic state, you start to interact with the world in new ways. Transformation often feels uncomfortable. That's because you're stretching beyond what is familiar, stepping into the unknown. The mind resists. The body protests. But these are signs of progress. You're no longer feeding the program of the past. You're teaching your body to live in the future, to emotionally connect with outcomes that haven't happened yet, and in doing so, draw them closer. Repetition and emotional intensity are key. The more you visit the new self in your inner world, the more natural it becomes in the outer world. Vision is the mental picture of the future you choose to live in before it physically exists. It is the blueprint of your desired reality, formed not from memory but from imagination. Most people base their future on the evidence of their past, projecting yesterday's experiences onto tomorrow's possibilities. But vision allows you to break that cycle. It lets you step beyond what is familiar, beyond what you've seen or done before, and into the unknown, the space where true creation happens. Holding a clear vision of your future self is one of the most powerful tools you possess. It's not just about visualizing things or outcomes, but about embodying the version of you who already lives that life. Vision is about emotional engagement. It's about seeing with the mind's eye and feeling with the heart. When your mind can picture the outcome and your body can feel the elevated emotions connected to it, you begin to align yourself with that potential reality. The brain doesn't know the difference between a real experience and one vividly imagined. It begins to rewire accordingly. A compelling vision serves as a reference point when the old self tries to reemerge. When discomfort shows up, when doubt creeps in, your vision becomes your compass. It reminds you of why you're changing, of who you are becoming. The more detailed and emotionally charged your vision, the more magnetic it becomes. You begin to attract ideas, people, and situations that support the version of you who already lives in alignment with that future. Vision also creates coherence in the brain. The more consistently you visit that future in your inner world, the more the neural circuits begin to form. You begin to think like that future self, speak like them, walk like them, and eventually live like them. Your energy shifts because you're no longer driven by the survival emotions of the past. You're led by the elevated states of the future. The body, when trained to feel that future now, begins to believe it's already happening. And when it believes, it starts behaving in accordance with that new reality. Stillness is where the noise ends and the truth begins. It's the space between thoughts, the silence beneath the chaos, the pause that holds infinite potential. In a world addicted to movement, distraction, and stimulation, stillness is often misunderstood. It's not passive, it's not emptiness, it's not inaction. Stillness is powerful. It is the ground from which all creation rises. When you enter into stillness, even for just a few minutes a day, you begin to disengage from the external world and reconnect with the internal one. And in that connection, something remarkable starts to unfold. Most people never stop long enough to observe what's really happening inside them. They're busy reacting to life, identifying with thoughts, chasing time. But in stillness, you start to see clearly. You begin to notice the patterns of the mind, the tension in the body, the energy of your emotions. And in that observation, you gain power, because what you observe, you can change. Stillness gives you access to awareness, not just intellectually, but experientially. You begin to feel yourself beyond the identity, beyond the story, beyond the personality. It's in stillness that the body begins to relax, the mind starts to settle, and the nervous system returns to balance. Your brainwaves shift from the frantic, high-frequency beta state into slower, more restorative patterns. In that state, the subconscious becomes more accessible, and change becomes more sustainable. Ideas flow, insights arise. The deeper intelligence within you, the part untouched by fear, ego, or conditioning, begins to speak. Stillness also reconnects you with the present moment. And the present is the only place where transformation occurs. You can't change the past. The future hasn't happened yet. But in this moment, now, you can choose again. You can redirect your thoughts, shift your energy, and realign with your vision. All of that begins in stillness. It is the gateway to the quantum field, the place where possibility lives and the old self begins to dissolve. It's the act of tuning out the world so you can tune into something far greater, something eternal, something true. Energy is the currency of the universe, and it is the foundation of everything you experience. Before matter, before form, before thought becomes reality, there is energy. Every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, every thought you entertain carries a frequency. This frequency is not abstract, it is measurable, influential, and creative. You are constantly emitting a signal into the field around you. And that signal is based on your energetic state. If you want to change your life, you must first change the energy you are broadcasting. Most people live in a state of low energy because they're constantly recycling thoughts of the past, reliving old emotions, and reacting to their environment. They wake up each day and access the same feelings of stress, guilt, resentment, or fear, not realizing that these emotions keep them tethered to a familiar past. The body becomes addicted to these chemical states, and energy becomes fragmented. You cannot create a new future from the emotions of survival. Creation requires elevated energy, emotions like joy, inspiration, love, and gratitude. These are high-frequency states that open the heart, expand the mind, and shift the field around you. When you begin to take control of your inner world, you begin to master your energy. That mastery doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from becoming more aware. It comes from noticing the moment your energy drops and choosing to shift it. Breathing deeply, visualizing your future, feeling appreciation. These simple acts recalibrate your state. They move energy from incoherence to order, from the past to the present, from the known to the unknown. Your energy also influences others. Just like a radio station, you're always sending out a signal, and people, events, and experiences tune into it. When you raise your energy, you begin to attract a reality that matches it. This is not philosophy, it's physics. The frequency you live on determines what shows up in your life. And when your energy becomes greater than the environment, greater than the conditions, greater than the past, you start to draw from a deeper well of intelligence that organizes reality in your favor. Emotion is the fuel that drives creation. It is the language of the body, and it plays a vital role in shaping your internal state and, by extension, your external reality. Every thought you think produces a chemical reaction in the brain, and that chemical becomes a feeling in the body. When repeated often enough, this cycle forms your emotional baseline, a memorized state of being. Most people live their lives unconsciously trapped in emotional patterns from past experiences, and they unknowingly use those emotions to define who they are. If you wake up and immediately feel anxiety, resentment, or lack, you are aligning your energy with the past. That emotion becomes your anchor, and the body begins to crave it like a drug. In this way, the body becomes the mind, and it runs the day from an old script. But when you become aware of this, you can break the cycle. You can begin to choose new thoughts that lead to new emotions, not by waiting for your environment to change, but by intentionally creating the feeling first. The key to transformation is emotional rehearsal. It's the act of mentally and physically practicing a new emotional state, one that matches the life you want to create. If you can feel gratitude before the event happens, if you can feel love before there's a person to receive it, if you can feel success before the outcome appears, then you are signaling to your body and the field that the future is already unfolding. The body responds chemically as if the event has already occurred, and the brain begins to rewire. Elevated emotions like joy, inspiration, and compassion are magnetic. They expand your energy field and create coherence between the heart and brain. These emotions don't just feel good, they change your biology. They regulate genes, boost immunity, and shift your perception. Over time, as you sustain these elevated states, your baseline emotional signature begins to change. You stop living by the familiar emotions of the past and begin living from the energy of your desired future. Emotion becomes the bridge between the internal change and the external manifestation. Identity is the story you tell yourself about who you are. It's the labels you wear, the roles you play, and the beliefs you hold about your capabilities and limitations. Your identity is formed over a lifetime, shaped by experiences, interactions, and the narrative you've woven together from your past. Most people unconsciously identify with their past experiences, allowing their history to define their present and their future. But if you want to change your life, you must change your identity, because the person you've been is not the person who can create the future you desire. When you identify with an old version of yourself, someone who is limited, stuck, or defined by failures, you are perpetuating a cycle of self-reinforcement. Your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions align with that identity, and you continue to create the same experiences over and over. To truly break free from the cycle, you must step into a new identity. This doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with conscious awareness and the willingness to challenge the old story. You must begin to tell a new story about who you are, one that aligns with the version of yourself who has already achieved the success, health, or fulfillment you desire. Changing your identity requires more than just changing your thoughts. It requires embodying the qualities of the person you want to become. It's not enough to think, "I am successful." You must feel what it's like to be successful. You must act as though you are already the person you wish to be. This is where the power of emotional rehearsal comes in. When you embody your new identity through thought, feeling, and action, your brain and body begin to respond accordingly. You create new neural pathways that support this new self, and gradually your behavior starts to align with the person you are becoming, not the person you've been. The more you embody this new identity, the more the old one fades. You stop being the person defined by past experiences and begin to live as the person who is already transformed. As you shift your internal identity, your external reality begins to reflect that change. You start attracting new opportunities, relationships, and experiences that are in alignment with your new self. Your identity becomes the foundation of your new reality. Dot possibility is the space where everything exists before it manifests. It is the infinite potential of what could be, not what is. Most people live their lives with a narrow view of possibility, constrained by the limitations of their past experiences, beliefs, and conditioning. They look at the world through the lens of what has already happened, and as a result, they limit the range of what they believe can occur in their future. But when you begin to shift your focus from what is to what could be, you open the door to an entirely new realm of potential. The concept of possibility is not bound by time or space. It exists in the present moment, in the now. Every moment is a new opportunity to create, to think, and to feel differently. But to access this potential, you must first detach from the known. You must release the identity, the expectations, and the past that have kept you in a fixed state. When you do this, you enter the unknown. And in the unknown, all possibilities are available. To step into possibility, you must expand your mind beyond its current limitations. You do this by changing your thoughts, by thinking in new ways that are not confined by the old paradigms of your past. You begin to ask, what if anything were possible? What if I could create a reality different from the one I've always known? The moment you ask these questions, you step into the realm of possibility. You begin to perceive opportunities and solutions that were once invisible to you. The more you align with possibility, the more it becomes your default state. As you repeatedly choose to see the world as a place of infinite potential, you begin to attract those possibilities into your life. This is not wishful thinking. It is a shift in perception, a change in the way you engage with the world. Your thoughts, your emotions, and your energy begin to align with the possibilities you desire, and you start to manifest new experiences that were once beyond your imagination. When you live in the realm of possibility, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You become the creator of your own reality.